Welcome, Simon. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
So, Simon, you have, from I understand, you started comedy from a very young age. Do you recall the first time you were up on stage and what that was like for you?
Well, the first time, I'd always done stuff at, summer camp and a couple of things at school. Mm-hmm. But the first time at a comedy club was downtown Toronto, and I was 17 years old, and I wore a suit, and I was too nervous to stand. I actually sat on the stool because I was shaking a little bit, but it was great.
Were you hired to perform, or was it just kind of like
no,
come on up and
amateur time? Nobody hires you before you've done it.
So is this something that you had a passion for, you were going to school for, or just something you wanted to try?
I'd always been fascinated with comedy. From a very young age, I'd loved jokes and riddles. And when I was really young, like 13, I used to submit puns to the show Definition. It was a Canadian game show. Yeah. And they would give me like $2 each if they bought them.
Oh, that's great.
So I was always thinking of jokes. It was just,
So you had to try this. This was like...
I actually used to sell a T-shirt that said, "Comedy's not a job, it's a personality disorder." So I think it's more like who you are. Uh-huh. And I was always a comedian, even when I wasn't a comedian.
So that first time you're on stage, was it a good experience? Did you get a response?
It was amazing.
Okay.
Oh no, I killed.
Amazing.
But then I had terrible shows, about 12 in a row after that.
So what would make for a terrible show? So people don't laugh at your jokes? So was that like honing your material? You change?
It's a huge challenge to do it properly. I got lucky the first time. I think the fact that it was my first time and I was so energized, and I think they responded to that. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I was trying to replicate it. And of course, then it's not as natural. And it's a very tricky thing. Stand-up is not the reason people think they can do it is because part of the art is it looks easy. It's not an effortful thing like a lot of show business where they put in a lot of work and it's sort of like, look at me go. It's sort of like, hey, we're just chatting. It's just relaxed. But it's not. It's a very carefully worked out routine. Time is cruel, I liken it to Grand Theft Auto. For those of you who don't know what Grand Theft Auto is, a video game in which you steal cars. And the cars are all brand new when you steal them. But the world in the game is so violent, and people are shooting at you and smashing their cars into yours, that you always end up in a broken, smoldering, smoking wreck. Life's like that. We all start perfect, but life just smashes us until we're... I'm prepared. I prepaid for my plot, my stone, my burial expenses. It's all covered. If I don't die, I'll take the loss.
So, Simon, you are renowned on the Canadian comedy scene for your smart, sharp comedy.
Yes, as I wrote it. Sorry,
you're sneaking at my notes. So tell us, or tell me, the material, what inspires you for your material, sourcing your material?
It's everything, as I say, it's a point of view. So there's no specific thing that I see or happens that makes me go, that would make a good joke. The joke comes in the moment of perceiving things in the way I see them.
So you don't before a show, you don't have a scripted kind of idea of what you want.
I have lots of material that I can draw on,
right?
But I don't actually decide until I'm up there.
Okay,
based on who they are and what I think they are going to go for.
But even your basic material, how does that evolve? Like, how do you?
It comes out of my life and the way. I'll give you an example. I have a joke in my act now, but it came out of an actual conversation. I went into a car rental place, I think, and the woman behind the counter said, "Just give me a sec," and I said, "I'll give you all the sex you can handle." And it was just a natural, jokey response that I have. But it's a funny joke, so I went, "Okay, I'll remember that," and I wrote a little thing where I incorporate that. It's not. I'm not a writing. I don't sit down and write jokes. It never happens that way. It all comes. It's all just there.
So life has a way of showing you.
Of course, because life is hilarious.
Yeah.
If you look at it.
It's all about
From
perspective.
that point of view. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Very good. So, what inspires your, like, is there anything specific that inspires your comedy?
Just, I guess I'm addicted
life.
to the laughs.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it all the time. I do it in real life all the time. I mean, that example, but you know, every time a waitress asks if she can get me a drink, I always say, would you stop hitting on me? It's just the way I am.
Okay.
You know, it's not a thing I try.
Jews and comedy.
Yes,
I mean,
I've heard of that.
you being one of them. So what is it? What is it about Jews and comedy that is why they're so successful, it seems?
Well, it's logical. Okay. If you think about what comedy is, right? It's looking at the world with perspective, a little bit of space or distance or time, right? They always say comedy is tragedy plus time. Well, that applies to distance. You know, if you go to a new place, you'll notice things that the people who live there, it's just their life. They don't think about it at all.
Right.
So you'll notice it and think, oh, that's interesting. That's funny. That's strange, right? Well, Jews are always sort of slightly outside of wherever they are, right? We are in the society, but we're not of the society, as it were. So it makes sense that we would see the world through a glass in a way that gives us a slightly skewed perspective that makes for comedy.
Then I was thinking, I have a coffee maker that's on a timer. So when I wake up in the morning, the coffee's all ready for me. And all my bills are paid through an internet account automatically, where my money is also deposited automatically. And my PVR records all my shows for me, so I can watch them later. And my calls are picked up by call answer service. And I suddenly realized my life doesn't need me. I could die and my life would go on exactly the same way.
I wanted to ask, who your comedic heroes are and why.
Oh, I mean, there's lots, but I guess, I admired some of the old guys, like I loved Jack Benny, who was so relaxed.
My dad loved Jack Benny.
Yeah, well, he was fantastic.
He had a show.
Yeah, no, the Jack Benny program, you can watch it online. It's amazing. And it's so different from what happens now, right? But he had that persona perfect, and the delivery was unbelievable. Like the amount of time he could wait and keep the audience waiting for his joke, and they wouldn't say anything or go, come on already. Like they knew something gold was coming was amazing to me, because I don't have that courage. Like I'm next one. I can't stand to not hear the laugh for that long, but he was a master. And Richard Pryor is the best stand-up comic who ever was, in my opinion.
Why?
Oh, because he was totally authentically himself, and also because he actually had things to say that mattered, that were important. I mean, my act is not important. You know, I've lived a privileged life. I've gotten to do what I want my whole life. I'm happy. I'm lucky. You know, I'm a funny guy, but I'm not changing the world. He actually was somebody with anger and a past that needed, resolution, and he was the best actor out. Act outs are when you perform a joke.
Well, you do have the privilege as a comedian, for sure, with your platform to get messages out there. So what do you think about, anti-Semitism?
I think it's terrific. What do you think I think?
I mean, in terms of comedy, could you use your platform?
I
not
do.
just you, but other comedians. Are they doing enough to...
Nobody's ever doing enough. I mean, that's just, let's assume that as long as there is a problem, people aren't doing enough. That's just the way it is.
It's a given.
Okay.
So tell me how,
Well, like I talk about, I do a lot of stuff about being Jewish in my act, which right away is chancy, because you're going to have people in the crowd who are like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, no, you have a strong Jewish identity, absolutely, in your act.
No, and there's a lot of Jewish comics who never bring it up at all.
And what's your response to them generally?
they can do what they want. It's their act. I don't judge other people.
No,
for
for
what they're...
you, when you bring your Jewishness into your.
Oh, you're talking about the audience.
Yeah. What is the audience reaction?
Oh, usually I kill. I mean,
I'm sure you do.
I mean, I write jokes. I'm not lecturing people. That's not my job. There's enough people on television and in the internet who have opinions, and who cares? I'm aware nobody cares what I think. But the great thing about comedy is you can at least force them to acknowledge what your point of view is, because if you laugh, even if you're not agreeing, you're at least saying, okay, I get what you're saying.
Right.
Like I have a joke about meeting somebody and they say, are you Jewish? No offense. And I'm like, yeah, well, tell me you're an anti-Semite without telling me you're an anti-Semite.
Yeah, but, do you think, though, that comedy can help with the fight against anti-Semitism?
Well, this much, like any tiny incremental. I mean, I don't think I'm very important, I mean, overall, can comedy help?
But you have a platform and people are listening. So.
Well, some people are listening, and I don't think I'm going to change some hardcore hater's point of view. But I also don't think somebody who hates to that degree is likely to show up at a comedy show either, because they're just, they don't have the open mind to want to laugh at anything. Yeah. So I'm sort of preaching to the choir in a way. The people who are likely to hear me are people who are likely to be pretty reasonable to begin with, in my opinion.
So, you've toured all over Canada from tiny towns to big cities. Do you have an unforgettable road story that you can share with me?
Well, I mean, I always think about being in a town. There's a lot of time to fill in comedy. Your actual show is a small portion of what you're doing. You go
So
places,
give me an example. Like typically you're on stage for how long?
Let's say an hour. Let's say 45 minutes. It depends, whatever they book me for.
Right.
But the point is, getting there to a town that's far away takes a lot of time.
Okay.
And if it's really far away, you get there early because who knows how long it'll take. So you're wandering around the street, trying to find something to occupy me until showtime. And I saw a guy. I said, what do you do for fun? And he said, well, there's a comedian in town. I thought, okay, perfect. It would be cool to meet God, though. Maybe when you die, you get 5 minutes with him. Ask him all the tough questions you always wanted to know the answers to. Why do good people suffer? Why are we here? But that'd be ideal. In fact, I'd probably just be starstruck. I met Springsteen once. I could barely talk. And he's just the boss. Imagine meeting God? I wouldn't be cool. Oh, wow! It's really you! I mean, this is incredible. I mean, never thought you'd be here. I mean, I know you're everywhere, but here, like this, face to face, I loved your book.
Simon, let's talk about comedy today. Political correctness, sensitivity around certain subjects, and cancel culture. Do you feel that there are lines that comedians shouldn't cross?
No, I don't. I'm personally not a very controversial type of comedian. I'm pretty middle of the road. As I said, I come from a place of happiness and privilege. So I don't have a lot of complaints. I'm not out there angry at the world. But I don't think there's anything you can't talk about in comedy, as long as it's funny. I mean, Andy Warhol said, art is getting away with it. So as long as you get away with it, it's art. If they laugh, you win. If you're talking and offending people, then it's not comedy.
So have you ever said anything that you've regretted on stage?
I used to do a joke that I thought was funny, that as time went on and things have been harder for Jewish people, I feel bad about. I might still do it just for Jewish people. It's a joke about why Hebrew is read right to left. Instead of left to right, it's based on the way Jews read a menu. Price, item, price, item. It's a funny joke.
It is funny.
But it plays into that Jews are cheap cliche, which is not even a true thing, right?
Yeah, but it's fun.
It's funny.
Yeah.
But there's a joke where over time I've thought, you know what? I don't need to lean into the stereotype that is harmful to the people.
Simon, there are many comics your age who don't get booked anymore, and you are. Why is that?
Well, a few reasons. I'm excellent.
Number one reason.
I'm alive. That's good. So many of my friends didn't make it to this point.
Oh, that's,
but also, I mean, I've never stopped working in terms of thinking of stuff. I never go a week or 2 weeks without going on at the clubs to stay sharp. Your weapon dulls very quick if you're not on top of things. Some of my friends, they stopped writing. They were doing the same act they were doing 25 years ago, thinking this will still work. And comedy is very much of its time and place. Something that seemed funny yesterday is not funny today. I mean, I have so much material I don't do anymore. You've got to understand, I've been at this 47 years.
Yeah.
I've been through 4 or 5 popes.
Anyway, Simon, I think that's all we have time for today, and I'm
not
such a
leaving.
pleasure. It was really a pleasure chatting with you.
You too. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Simon.